Welcome to Steve's Place. It's 6 p.m. on a Sunday night. I'd like to thank you all for showing up. And tonight, we have a fantastic guest, Vernon Roth, and we'll get more into that later. In the meantime, I'd like to remind everyone, if you get the chance, to be sure and give us a thumbs up if you like the presentation so that the search engines can find us, and to also follow the with just those steps there, you can help us grow. Right now we're at 22,000 subscribers, and I'd like to get to 23,000 by the end of the year. And I'd also like to remind everyone that we have the presentations from the conference available at this point. You just go to our website, look for this picture here, click on it, and that will take you where the video on demand is now. And you can get on there, and it's $99, but it's a lot for life. And if you're already on, you go there, it should just guide you right to where your videos are. And so I just think it's going to be great. Next year is going to be great. Next year's conference is going to be August 12th to 16th. Mark it on your calendar, August 12th to 16th. And I'd be remiss if I didn't encourage you to go ahead and sign up for the YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know how to get there, you just go to our homepage. The little guy's looking at it, and where you see the yellow box, you click on the YouTube channel. It takes you Tech channel. It'll take you to our channel, and you can subscribe there. Also, if you're looking for specific videos, we have a conference directory. You click on the conference directory, it brings up all the conferences I have up there. And when you click on a conference, it brings up all the speakers in there. Also, if you go to the speaker directory, what that will do is it'll take you to a list of speakers, and just pick out the R's for, like, Vernon Roth, for example. Vernon will come up and look at the bottom there. You see that he has 13 videos up there, including this one. So it's a great way to find people you want to find and everything. And so it's like $9.99 to become a member. It's only like $9.99 a month, and you get access to all of the videos up there. Sponsor subscribers only get like a couple hundred, but if you become a member, you get the badges, plus you also get the global access 24/7 anywhere on the planet where you can get YouTube. You can get to our videos, from up to the 2023 conference. I'm starting to put some of the 2024s up there, a couple a month. If you want to get the 2025s, go to How To. Like I say, click on the other banner on our website, and that gets you to the current stuff. It also gets you to the 23 ones too, or 24 ones. Okay, without further ado, let me introduce our guest tonight, Vernon Roth. Let's see. There you go. Hey, Vernon. Vernon.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me here.
Could you give us a little bit about your background? Like, when did you get started on this?
Well, I actually presented at the Extraordinary Technology Conference. I want to say it was in 2004, but I'd been in the field for a couple of years before that. So started out about 25 years old, and it's been an adventure ever since. Looking back, I think that my certain aspects of my schooling kind of prepped me for it and pushed me in that direction subconsciously, but really it started when I was about 25 years old. I started out in the and you can actually, and the viewers can actually see this in some of your videos. I actually started out in the field of sacred geometry and exploring ancient temple sites and trying to find different ways to encourage healing. And my youngest daughter has cerebral palsy, and so a lot of the work that I did was focused on the aspects of healing and finding ways to heal people from certain conditions. So I started out in working on researching ancient temple sites, finding out the sacred geometry behind like the pyramids and Stonehenge and the Serpent Mound and such, leading me to some beautiful understanding of the cosmos and the influence of the stars upon our ancient ancestors. Then eventually I moved into the field of ether research and discovered ether technology. I talked about the Joe cell a couple times at the Tesla Tech conference, which those of you unfamiliar with the Joe cell it's a very powerful etheric energy accumulator that uses certain patterns of alternating patterns of stainless steel and water to concentrate etheric energy into a hydrogen type gas. And the results that came out of Joe's research in Australia were pretty amazing. And that eventually propelled me into hydrogen research. It's not the same thing. I know that it kind of gets conflated at times, but it's not exactly the same thing. But it's a fun path to follow. So um, going back to an early childhood education that kind of formed my perception of reality. I remember I went to college very young, and I was went to school for electrical engineering, mechanical design. And one of my electrical engineering instructors was a World War II radio operator, and we were talking about he was teaching us about toroid transformer coils, which we're gonna cue the memories of Marco Rodin's technology and a couple of others. But he was talking about toroid transformer coils, and he said, but I don't know why I still have to teach this, because nobody uses it anymore except the Navy. And being the naive 13-year-old that I was, I raised my hand and said, well, why does the Navy still use them? And he said, in all seriousness, he says, because the Navy discovered long ago that you can tune a toroid transformer into Overunity. And that just kind of stuck in my brain the rest of my life, saying, well, if something could be Overunity, why don't we use it everywhere? And so from a very early age, this father figure tells me that Overunity is possible, and that kind of flavored my whole research, saying, I don't need to prove that something exists. I need to find out how to do it. And so it's been a long journey of discovery to find different types of technology and how to combine technology together and into a cohesive whole, a kind of a coherent whole that you can do amazing things with. So that's a little bit of my background. Like I said, I think you and I met in 2004, and I spoke on some ancient technologies, which kind of touched on alchemy a little bit, and those were fun times. And then the next year, I spoke on the Joe cell and how etheric energy condenses into our physical reality, and it's all a matter of finding the environment that allows us to condense it in a cohesive, coherent format and create energy. And I believe that that's the basis of our the Overunity technologies that we've seen and heard about throughout the years. Spinning magnets, the 0 point fields that Moray King and even T. Henry Moray speak about. The spinning magnetic fields pulling energy from the 0 point, energy from the vacuum. I understand Greg Braden spoke last year, and I've always enjoyed his work, especially on approaching 0 point. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey. Some of you may not be familiar with the tech that we've done, that we've worked on over the years, but if anybody remembers the spark of life water that actually holds a magnetic field, and then that you stick your finger in the top of, and it actually zaps you with an electric charge, and then it regenerates, because it's not about a static capacitor. It's about an etheric energy accumulator that continually draws energy in from the environment. So, do you remember? Did you ever get zapped by the electric water, Steve?
Yes, I have. It's it's a strong spark. Yeah, definitely feel it.
I
You
think
know.
you.
Oh no, I think we lost Vernon here. Um, I think we lost Vernon temporarily.
No, I'm still here. Are you still here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. We had
Yeah,
the spinning circles of death there for a second.
yeah. So, yeah, I definitely felt it. It's a very strong spark. It can be very painful if you're not expecting it.
It can be a bit of a surprise, but
You
it's
feel it in your bones. Yeah.
you do. Well, you feel it. You really feel it wherever there is an imbalance in your own bioenergy field. And so, some people would feel it in specific places, maybe a chakra, maybe an organ, and it's something that it's showing you something. That was one of the interesting things I found about working in the etheric energy world, is that. Um, the tech and the energy itself would teach you intuitively how to use it. Imagine picking up a hammer, or picking up some type of electric tool that educated you on its use, through intuition and just guided experiences. And ether energy is like that. It's a really powerful force, and that researchers kind of have to be open to experiencing. If they go into it with preconceived notions, it'll kind of, it may work for them, it may not. But if you go into it with an open mind, an open heart, and allow yourself to be led, it takes you some very interesting places.
So, so how long does that last when you put it in those bottles?
Well, we've documented it lasting over a year. Just energize the water, put it on the shelf, and we can use any type of water. It doesn't. The scientific community, when one physicist saw it, he says, "So obviously you're treating it with deuterium." Like, yeah, no, it's just regular water, and just put it on a shelf somewhere and come back in a year, and it'll still zap you. With a well-charged bottle, you could put it into a freezer and drop it down to minus 20 degrees, and it wouldn't freeze. It wouldn't freeze until you picked it up and start agitating it, and then it would be this beautiful this beautiful, like a snow globe type reaction, where the entire thing turns into crystallized snowflakes, and then freezes solid. It was pretty wild.
So,
Yeah.
so is it distilled water or just tap water? Or did it
Oh, you
matter?
could use it. You could use any type of water. Distilled water. Distilled water is not a great conductor, which is one of the reasons why we used it in the first place. Eventually, we evolved into using what we call etheric gold. It's a type of energy alchemy to embed gold, the signature of gold into the water, and you can actually you actually taste it on your lips as kind of a citrus flavor. But if it was colloidal gold or ionic gold, we would have gone through about 20 or 30 pounds of it over the course of our over the course of our work. But it was an energetic signature, but that you could measure with a TDS meter. It would literally change the conductivity of the water itself. But we would use about a teaspoon of that in distilled water, and that became the spark of life water that we've been around the country lecturing on and talking about its healing effects and such. And that one was really interesting. It combined multiple different modalities of energy work. It combined alchemy, wherein we literally used certain trees and minerals combined together in a high pressure crucible to create an alchemical fluid. And then it used a Tesla coil and a spinning magnetic field with a spark gap. And one of the things that we haven't talked about, I haven't heard talked about in a long time, is that magnetic fields are not static systems. They're not always, if you have a magnet and the magnet field's this big, they're not always that big. If you spin it, if you rotate it, or if you move that magnet, actually the magnetic fields expand in kind of a beautiful figure 8 pattern, expand out, but so too at the same time does the 0 point of that magnetic field. And so by putting a spark gap at that 0 point, it would actually harness through that spark, just like Tesla did. It would harness through that spark the radiant etheric energy, and then we would channel that energy, boom, into a Tesla coil type scenario, which would then drop into the water.
Okay, we have a question for you here from the audience, from Fred. It says, Vernon, would you say there's a link to pulling energy from the vacuum, either by creating a disruption that forms plasmoids, or to that?
Should I respond in the link, or I'll just respond to it. I do believe that plasmoids are a form of vacuum-based energy, and especially because of certain work that Marco Rodin did, but also because one of the technologies that I've seen over the years was developed by Guy Obolensky, and he accelerated particles beyond the speed of light using a certain type of toroid geometry. And so I do believe that plasmoids are in fact a form of ether vacuum-based energy. I think that we need to explore how that's done, but as I said, my earlier work revolved around finding different shapes and sacred geometries that concentrated etheric energy. And so I believe that plasmoids are one of those. It's interesting that when you get into hydrogen tech and you talk about prepping the plates, creating a scarring pattern on the plates, when you look at that under a microscope, there's actually pyramid shapes oftentimes that develop through that scarring process, which I believe our research has shown that those pyramids concentrate etheric energy. So it's entirely possible that plasmoids are part of the ether's vacuum-based energy system.
Well, before you were talking about how your instructor there from the Navy said that you get Overunity from toroids, and I built an Overunity motor called the Kipper motor. Kipper's the guy who invented it. He showed me it, and we worked on this together. And he had like a clump of all these wires, that when he first connected it, it didn't do nothing. And he started spreading those, so it kind of tuned it in. And so now that I'm looking, all those coils, he had like a 6-foot piece of wire that sprung together. That could be a rough toroid. Maybe that was part of it, because it took a battery from like 7 volts, 7.9 volts to like 14 volts in 2 hours. Okay,
Wow. That's
and
exciting stuff.
yeah, it should never have worked. Okay, it should never have
Uh-huh.
worked. Okay, uh, if you go by conventional electromagnetics, so it's had to be something else. And now I'm starting to think maybe the fact that those are coiled wires. Not only were
Yeah.
they like 6 foot antennas because being 6 feet, right? He's over 6 foot tall. Um,
So let me
about
touch
12.
on two points you just made there. Um, First off, well, so I've seen several over Unity technologies, and I've classified them into, because my rational side of my brain wants to categorize, classify, and easily cross-reference. I've classified them into three different types. One is a true over Unity free energy, drawing energy from the ether. One is the second one would be classified as an energy multiplier. We're going to we need the seed energy going in, and we need and we our configuration and our methodology is going to draw energy from the ether and add to that. And then the last type is what I call an artifact. And Steve, I think what you're describing is an artifact because it is a device that should not work under any conditions, and yet seems to work for the inventor, and they can make that work. I've seen three devices like that over the years, and by golly, they should not work, but they do when the inventor's operating it. And I've conducted enough testing, I've conducted enough efficiency testings over the years, and said, wow, this guy is doing something to this energy. And Gene Manning and Susan Kornacki, or Susan Mainwich, can't remember what she wrote under. They talk about this in a book called Hidden Energies, um, wherein certain inventors that they visited and documented were generating energy, and they themselves made their devices work. That gets into the realm of high strangeness. It's really interesting, but it's a little bit subjective in how you classify it and categorize it. But I do believe that it exists.
We actually measured a 3 amp input and a 30
Hmm.
amp output. Okay.
Wow.
And I truly believe, and that would just be the DC component. We didn't have a frequency spectrometer there to look and see what the waveform would be like. But and I tried putting an ammeter, the automotive ammeter on it, where you physically have it.
Uh-huh.
Blew up in my hands.
Oh boy, howdy.
And
Wow.
so I come at this from not as a believer, but as a doubting Thomas. I put my hand in there already. So
Uh-huh.
I know it exists. Okay. Um, but exactly what we're looking at, I'm not sure. So,
I hear that.
and
I can respect that.
if anyone wants the plans, just drop me a note and I'll email you a copy of the Kipper motor stuff. I put together on it. You know, but yeah,
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. Let me tell you a quick story here about something blowing up in your hands. So a while back, I went and visited with a mad scientist. Drove across the country, 26-hour drive. There were a couple of us in the car, and we drove 26 hours to go visit this mad scientist. And he was quite eccentric, and he was also an alchemist. And he was talking about, he had this he actually had three over Unity devices on his workbench. Okay, and I'm gonna preface this by saying he had one of the only over Unity devices that I needed to see math for. Everything else was obviously, holy cow, this is working over Unity. The one that I needed to see math for was a heat device using once again spinning magnets. And that one was really simple. I think it's out. Some people have actually reproduced this, spinning magnets inside of an aluminum tube. But that's not the one I'm talking about. The one I'm talking about had a coil, and he says, yeah, okay, so this is invented by a Russian guy, and he's figured out a way to harness the resonant frequency of the earth. Okay. It says, so I pulse this toroid coil. I pulse this toroid coil and I send that energy into the ground. And then the earth, which is the largest solar collector that we have access to, it sends the energy back because it's at the same resonant frequency, but you can't have it at exactly the right resonant frequency because, well, it would give you too much energy. I said, oh, okay, all right. I take your word for that. No, I don't want to take your word for that. What do you mean? What do you mean that you would get too much energy? Oh, let me show you. So he's got this oscilloscope and he starts tuning the wave pattern that he's pulsing into the ground through this toroid coil. And when he reached coherence on those wave patterns, that toroid coil vaporized and destroyed itself because it was pulling so much energy from the earth that literally the wires and the ferroid and the core couldn't handle it. So yeah, I believe it, Steve. I believe it.
Yeah. Once you see it, you know.
Yep.
And even some of the people I used to be real doubters about, like, I don't know if you ever heard of this guy by the name of Noise. He used to have from Canada, and he used to have like a bunch of an antenna type deal, which was a bunch of wires, clustered together. And now I have his video up on my website. Okay.
Okay, I'll look that up.
And he was at a global science conference. I can't remember which one, but everyone's making a big, and I used to think like these, the antenna type devices were just, a bunch of bunk because the wires would be so thin and everything. But it don't take much, because you're not really, you're not really carrying the current in the wire. I don't think. I think it's like Dr. Yu says, forget about the electron stuff, So I don't know.
Dr. Yu, I was able to speak with him a bit at the conference, and it was really good to connect with him. His theory that basically it comes down to magnets and waves, right? That's at the heart of everything. That is the theory behind some Coral Castle code or Coral Castle research that was done that led to another one of those Overunity devices. And you can actually look this up online. It's, oh gosh, John Depew, he had a website called, oh gosh, the Harmony Grid. That's it. It was called the Harmony Grid. And it was based upon the same theory that Dr. Yu is proposing, that all reality is broken down into magnets, North Pole magnets, South Pole magnets, and emanating waves, which I call the ether, but and these emanating waves that you can transmit those energies from the North and South Pole magnets. And so I told him about this, and I said, regardless, right or wrong about the details, you are definitely onto something, because like I said, I've seen an Overunity tech that is based upon those emanating waves and magnets. So powerful stuff.
Yeah, and there's Don Smith. Remember Don Smith?
I do. Yeah, I do. Yep. And coming back to energy flowing through incredibly fine wires. Jerry Smith up in Denver, unfortunately, he passed away from COVID, but he put, I watched him put about 7 amps at 12 volts through a tiny wire, barely bigger than a human hair. but he did it by structuring how the energy flowed by putting the electricity through a bismuth matrix first. But he was able to transmit massive amounts of energy through a tiny hairline wire because of that structuring. So yeah, I think when we start moving into the realm of beyond unity, beyond the speed of light, we need to start reevaluating our thought process behind physics. It's like when we finally broke the sound barrier and we realized we needed to move from an aerodynamics theory to a fluid dynamics theory, because the rules on the other side of the sound barrier are different than the rules on our side of the sound barrier. The same thing applies to to moving beyond the speed of light. Guy Obolensky's machine, when it would accelerate particles beyond the speed of light, really interesting things happen. But you're not going to accelerate those particles using conventional thought. You have to use toroid mechanics. So powerful stuff.
Well, speaking of Guy Obolensky, in the 1988 conference, okay, I believe it was, he demonstrated in one of the back rooms of our conference that magnetic fields move faster than the speed of light.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
And that was it drove my college professor crazy, because you're taught all your life that nothing can move faster than the speed of light, and now you're demonstrating it in the back room. He's claiming that we had cheap equipment and everything, but the scope we were using was good to 1 picosecond.
Wow.
So
Nice.
so we had extremely good stuff, and they sent off a signal, and the you measured like the electric and the magnetic component, and the magnetic component was like, it was there before you even did it. It's weird. So like I say, never say never. And that's why you should come to these conferences, because you get to see what goes on in the back rooms, which isn't on any video or anything. And and you've known the guy, I guess, and I've been out to his place out in New York.
Yeah, I was many times.
But he came and spoke at my conferences in Colorado Springs. Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. I did not know he was at Global Sciences. That's awesome.
No, this would be the Tesla conferences and symposiums.
Oh, okay. My bad.
I did the International Tesla Symposium, and one of my proceedings will have some papers. I used to edit those. So
nice.
Speaking of papers,
the backroom stuff is really fun at the conferences. Do you remember when I had my hydrogen tech set up there and we were showing the elemental transmutation in the back room? Yeah, that was really cool. And then, oh shoot, we had a couple GEET devices running indoors with no exhaust or anything. It was fantastic.
Yeah, the biggest problem with the conference is sleep deprivation. You just don't get it. Because if you're keeping track of the guys in the back rooms, I mean, what's the name of John Piala? He was having these classes on how to wind coils. Remember that?
I do. Yeah. No, many people walked away with a beautiful rodent coil from those. It's awesome stuff.
Yeah, and I just hope we can some way we can keep these up, every year. I think COVID changed everything, because all of a sudden people went from going out and meeting people to only wanting to see people on the screen, it seems like sometimes. But you got to get out of that mode and then get in the conference mode where you go out and you actually meet people person to person. And we always have good food at my conferences.
You have great food, Steve. Let me touch on that real quick here. I'm not going to say the name of who it was, but I saw some YouTube videos on someone, and this gentleman was proposing a new math, a new way of looking at the world in the world of physics, the world of energy, and I saw some YouTube videos, and I thought, I'm on the fence. I just don't know. And I went to the conferences, and I met this man, and I had interaction back and forth, and he was able to express his vision. He was able to express what he was really doing, and being in that energy and feeling those geometrical patterns. Something just clicked there, Steve, that I would never have experienced if I just watched his YouTube videos. I knew in that moment that he was connected to source. I knew in that moment that he was bringing something into this world that would be a dynamic game changer. And so, right or wrong, the work needed to be done. And so I'm grateful for him, and I'm grateful for the conferences, because, Steve, coming to these conferences for a long time, and yes, I've been out of circulation for a couple of years. The things that we learn, the things that we take into our consciousness, the seeds that are planted are incredibly powerful, and especially if we can let them grow. Especially if we can let them grow and start to inform our actions and inform our speech and inform how we interact with the world. That is one of the most powerful aspects of your conference, is that these people, these great thinkers from around the world, an international symposium is really what it is, are able to come and express themselves in ways, and to people that are open and able to receive what they're trying to say. So it's a beautiful thing, Steve, and I'm very grateful that you're doing it.
Well, it's just not me; it's everyone involved, and I like everyone to know, these conferences, they can be expensive. I mean, like my hotel bill was just like 30,000, and I don't have that kind of money, and we get it from like people who subscribe or actually become members of YouTube, who come to the conference, as attendees and that, and who watch the online stuff, the online stream, all that goes into the pot to pay for this, and and so I can't emphasize enough, for people to support this, and because you're supporting the whole group when you do this, and you're helping our ability to move forward, because even though we don't have like a grant program, because we don't have the money for starters, to help people do it, we have a stage where they can come and they can present this stuff, and the stuff you see presented on this stage, you're not going to see elsewhere, because when I first started, I decided that, okay, the Orthodox people already have a stage. It's called IEEE, and it's called all these university seminars and everything. It's the people who are off the beaten track that have the problem getting known, and so that's why we do what we do. And you definitely had some really interesting thing, and you always brought a lot of hardware, and that's what I really like, is hardware over hot air, so yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I've worked hard on that hardware. Everything from hydrogen to Joe cells to GEET to sacred geometry. It was always a labor of love to create those things and put them out there into the world. So thank you. I appreciate that. And everybody who brings hardware. I remember one year there was a kid there that I had actually invited, and he wasn't so much a great speaker, but boy howdy, when people went outside and saw his car running on waste oil and hydrogen that he'd driven to the conference for about $20, it was pretty darn impressive. So it's exciting stuff.
And like I say, I love that the online stuff's really taken off, the streaming, but it's the hands-on stuff. The people come to the conference that would that really makes things happen. I mean, and I think I know the guy that was he from Texas?
Yes, he was from Texas,
San
Austin,
Antonio,
Texas.
Texas? Austin?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, I think he spoke a year later.
Oh, he did. Oh, good deal. Good deal.
Yeah, and that was probably at the embassy if I remember right. Yeah. Yeah, we've had some certainly amazing experiences at these hotels too. I mean, oh, I could tell you stories about that. But
yeah. Did I tell you my second to the last year? I had a near death experience. Remember the torrential rains?
yeah,
And yep. So I'm out at a restaurant, and they come in and they tell us, or the wait staff tells us, hey, we're closing. You need to basically run for your lives. Walk outside, and there's 2 feet of water. We're wading through 2 feet of water to get back to the car, and man, this driving this little Honda Accord from the restaurant downtown back to that hotel through multiple feet of water. 4 people died that night in Albuquerque.
wow.
And we made it back okay, but boy howdy, it was quite the experience.
Yeah. So,
But the other thing that is really really neat about the conference is that you bring in some amazing vendors, some people with some really cool, powerful. Maybe it's healing, maybe it's even artists. Sometimes we had an artist there this year. Um, we had multiple artists actually. Some people were painting, some people were creating coherent energy patterns using holographic light systems. It was really really beautiful. So yeah, the vendors at the conference are pretty amazing too. Exciting stuff.
yeah, and you never know what's going to happen. But by that coherent light, are you talking about that lady that was by the door, which had a bunch of spinning things, and when they started spinning up to speed, it gets into like a hologram kind of effect.
Yeah, like a hologram of a hologram. It's like, imagine an oscilloscope, but a 3-dimensional hologram. It was really amazing stuff. Based off of resonant frequencies, and inputting two wave patterns that, when they interact coherently, they build each other up and create these beautiful sacred geometrical structures. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I just I think she's related to Malcolm Bindle's group, and also Grinier's. Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah,
She had some. She was. Malcolm Bendel actually gifted me a couple of his posters that he wasn't there, but he called his people up and gave them to me. So that was really neat to see. I'm looking forward to exploring that, because that's all about resonant resonant harmonics and coherence.
yeah, you missed the conference where he came and he was an add-on because the schedule was full, and so we added him on after the conference at night. So
Oh wow, okay.
So we had like an extra 3 hours for 2 nights in a row on Friday and Saturday nights. They're available online, but yeah, is they actually took and went down to Home Depot, bought a generator there, brought it back, and modified it with this technology.
Really?
To make them run, yeah. And personally, I think he's very lucky. They came to the right conference because we have John Fiel, and he's a powerhouse when it comes to that kind of stuff, and can make the stuff run.
Yes, he is.
He could have used your help there.
I've been to John's place, and we had a lot of fun with toroids, and yeah, before unfortunately before it burned down. So yeah, John is definitely a powerhouse, and can make a lot of things work that other people can't.
Yeah. So you see the video of John's place when it's burning, and the engine blows up on his car and blows to the roof.
Yeah, the explosion goes through the roof. Yes, yes. And everybody's ducking. Yeah, that was on the news, brother. That was crazy.
Live on the news.
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
I think up until that point they thought they could save it. And yeah, when I saw that, my heart just broke. Because you know what blew up was his hydrogen powered Barracuda.
Huh.
So yeah, that was not a happy day.
Yeah. Someday, I hope to. Well, I'm getting ready to move here pretty soon, and hopefully it'll be this week. But once we get to, I have a bigger place, and I have all my stuff in storage, and we can start unpacking it and getting a lot of this stuff out again, and hopefully get my magazine back in circulation.
Okay.
It's been really well, it's been a rough period. COVID, like you say, COVID changes everything. You know, and I don't know, we'll never be the same. You know, but that's life. You just keep moving forward.
That is very true.
And
Very true.
and I
So
might
yeah, go
go.
ahead.
You go ahead.
Well, I wanted to, I wanted to circle back, the last story that I want to tell. I wanted to circle back a little bit to the toroid coils, and ether energy. And it kind of ties in with what you just said, that you just keep moving forward and you don't let the experiences define you. You use them and move forward, right? So some of the work that my family has done, and you know my mom and sisters, we we built something that we nicknamed the Stargate. Okay, it's a 32-foot tall, two pyramids stacked on top of each other, 32 feet tall. In the lower pyramid, I created two stainless steel Merkabas, star tetrahedrons, one larger and one smaller, and I made a mechanism that I was able to actually rotate those in phi harmonic in phi ratio. So whatever speed you set the larger one at, the smaller one would rotate faster in a phi ratio, and they counter rotated inside. Now this generated an etheric energy field because you're spinning. You have the spinning structure, you have the sacred geometry, and then we built a caduceus coil up around those two spinning star tetrahedrons. An electrostatic field was applied to the caduceus coil, and then that was funneled into a pretty decent sized torus wound torus, excuse me, very decent sized wound torus. That wound torus actually sat underneath you in the upper chamber, and you would sit in that that sweet spot right about the queen's chamber, king's chamber of the upper pyramid, and that torus was right underneath you. And at the same time as those electrostatic fields are being generated, the platform that you're sitting on was being resonated by very powerful transducers that would literally resonate certain magnets in the platform. And so we nicknamed it the Stargate, and it's interesting because every person has a different journey. Every person, you can have the exact same experiences, but you are on separate journeys. And so my experience with the very first time I went into this device, and it was fully energized. There's a literally electrostatic field. Your hair is standing on end. I don't have hair anymore, but that's okay. That's my COVID haircut. This energy field was energizing me there, and then the resonant frequencies started playing. The phi harmonic excuse me, neuroattunement frequencies that were playing outside, coming into me sitting there on the meditation platform. And I call it my near-death experience. Okay, this field immediately knocked me unconscious, and I passed out. and it was very similar to people describing near-death experiences. I traveled in my consciousness traveled for years. I traveled to other places, other times. I saw things that I can't remember, but when I see them in this world now, I realize what the connection was. I traveled for years, and then when the machine shut off, I returned to my body. I returned to my body, and I woke up on that platform. We had a whole thing set on a timer, and I'm remembering in that moment being gone for years, and yet I come out and I see that I've only been asleep for an hour. And I look up at the sky and I thought, has the sky ever actually been this blue? Was the grass and were they actually that green? My whole perception of reality changed. It was like I was reborn in that moment. And over the next, the experience did not end. It kept going. It peaked. And over the next few months, I started to see energy around people, and the threads of energy that flow around us and move with us as we move through reality. And we are not static beings. I saw this clear as day. We are not static beings. We are the energy that exists both forward and backwards in time in our reality as our consciousness moves through reality, weaving these beautiful patterns. And over time, I saw the patterns that were developed like a giant tapestry. So that is what we need to strive for, is to create the most beautiful tapestry that we can possibly create through our actions, through our research, through our interconnections with other people. We can't live in a vacuum. And I say this, knowing that I've kind of lived in a vacuum for the last 8 years. We can't live in a vacuum. We have to interact with people that are going to build us up, encourage the coherent heart thought, mind thought, and resonance in our reality, so that we can take these technologies, we can take these connections and move forward into the next steps. And I think that is one of the most powerful things that we can learn from working with these strange technologies, having these strange experiences, going to these conferences, and meeting other people that are on not the same path, but a similar path, a coherent path that builds us up. So just wanted to share that with you.
That's pretty awesome. I had a heart attack one time. I was by myself, and I was really depressed, and I was ready to give it up. And my body was leaving. My body, and this big hand come out of nowhere, slammed me back in, and said, "No, it's not your time to go." And that happened around 2000. And
Wow.
ever since then, I'm not scared of death, okay, or whatever. It gives a new dimension. That's probably why I do what I do, and I just don't do it for the money.
I hear you.
So, and I think that people who are doing it for the money, I think it kind of blocks them. I think there's an energy associated with it that blocks that from happening. So, but to me, I'm here to learn. Life is a journey, and we come across so many people in our lives, and over and over again, and look how many people, like I know we know the same people a lot of times. And they're here a moment and then gone the next. Remember Terry Brady?
Yeah, I do.
And these people affect our lives,
And Mike Riversong.
Yeah, Michael. Yeah.
Yep.
And on that note, I'd like to make an announcement here. John Peterson, who spoke last year at our conference on Saturday night with Greg Braden, okay, he passed away this week. So keep him in your prayers there. Another soul gone. So, but well, not gone. Moved up to a higher level. You know.
There you go. There you go.
And no one gets out of here alive. I'm telling you that right now.
Well, you know, Steve, I was deputy coroner in my county for 3 years. I ran the coroner's office through COVID, through a series of interesting happenstances, and I can say that, you know, most of the people the deaths I investigated, they expected to do stuff tomorrow. So
Sure.
take every opportunity you can. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
And keep coming to the conferences. Keep studying this stuff. I mean, we have like I know there's 13 videos of Vernon up online on our website, and each one is a journey in and of itself. You know, these conferences and that are a record of our experiences of an education here, and so like my magazine was my record for the most part. All Vernon's videos, you know, if you watch them in a row there, they're going to show you how his train of thought and how he developed his ideas and that, you know. So it's really powerful stuff. What I am going to do here, hopefully, once I get moved, go back through these videos and try to label them better and then organize them chronologically, you know, and within the categories, and that should help you a lot. So, and we're about 56 minutes. Do you have anything else, Vernon, you'd like to add, or?
You know, real quick, I like to work this into almost all my presentations. One of the greatest books that I've ever read was a book called Power versus Force by David Hawking, I think it was, not Stephen Hawking, but different Hawking. Power versus Force: The Hidden Determinants of Human Nature. And if that book taught me something that was incredibly powerful. It taught me this in times of a lot of distress, as my technology being stolen or just being discounted, and certain experiences I had. What I learned from that book and my experiences is that our thoughts dictate how we respond to reality. And as long as people are ruled by fear, greed, and avarice, we will find something to be afraid of, find something to hoard, and find something to keep other people from having. And so if we want these technologies to move out into the world, we ourselves need to move beyond that mode of thinking. We need to resonate with a cooperative, courage-based structure instead of resonating with fear, greed, and avarice. And I see a lot of hope, and I saw a lot of courage at that conference. And so, bless you all. It was a beautiful thing. Thank you, Steve.
You know, thank you for coming, and I'll see you all next week. Don't forget the oops. Don't forget our logo there, and get up there and possibly check out getting online version of the conference, which has a lot of extra stuff that the DVDs don't have. Or you can order DVDs. They are for sale right now. Buy two, get one free, or actually buy three, get $10 off each. And then we took $100 off for the next week or two, couple weeks. So check us out. Feel free to call me. 520-252-0374 is my phone number, or you can just, I think the information is on our YouTube channel. So thank you so much, and I'll see you all next week. Thank you for coming.